In this video, I'm going to share a little bit of information about the document uploading process and talk about the documents that are essential. Now, the reality is IRCC has made this really simple for you. There really is not a lot of mandatory documents that you need. And even the optional ones are, well, they're optional. But let's shift over and let's just take a quick look. The one thing I want to point out right here is that the size limit is 5 megabytes per file. So ultimately, when you're uploading these documents, if you have multiple documents that you need to bundle together, you're going to be facing the reality that you have to keep the file size down to 2 megabytes. And sometimes it can get kind of big. Like, for example, if you're taking a picture with your phone and it has high resolution on it, don't take it with 4K quality because it very well is going to be higher than this 2 megabytes per file. However, if it is large and too large for you to upload and you don't have an easy means of reducing the file size. For example, if you have Adobe Acrobat, which most people won't have, there are other alternatives. One of them is an online system called I Love PDF. And so it's literally ilovepdf.com, and you can go right in here and you can upload your documents, and it's easy to use, and many people use that as their preferred option. So that is what you can do if you do have a little bit of problem meeting the file size limit. So let's take a look down here and see what we have in terms of documents. Now, right off the bat, you'll see here that in my desire to test this out a little bit, I've already uploaded a document, but this right here will read the same as this. So no file chosen, and basically that's the initiation part. And so the first one you can see here that is the mandatory supporting documents, it's your passport. And each of these has a little bit of a description on it. The gist of this is they want to see a color copy of your passport or your travel document, but most of you should have passports. If you have a passport, they want to see a copy of the page that shows your birth date, country of origin, and any pages with stamps, visas, or markings. So and then travel document, like you said, it's got the information here, but most people are not going to use that. So this is going to be the same as if you add file. So you're going to click on this, and then it's going to take you to the folder where you've got it, and then you're going to upload it. So I'm going to upload the passport right into here. And you can see if you uploaded the wrong one into the wrong spot, all you have to do is click this change file, and you're able to then open it up. Now, what I want to do is I want to shift over here, and I'm just going to, excuse me, I'm just going to open up the passport, and I just want to show you one little thing with that. I think we've got it here. Yes. Okay. So within your passport, this is obviously the data page, that first page that they want. And you're obviously going to include this every single time, but every page that has a mark or a stamp on it, you absolutely need to include it. And if you're like this individual at all, you're going to be in a situation where you have lots of stamps all over, and every page that has a stamp or a marking on it, you want to include it in there. Okay. All right. So let's shift back here, and you can see for each of these documents, there's a little bit of a description, but like I said, passport is really the main thing that you need. Now, there are other optional documents, and it gets a little confusing here because once again, the documents that are being requested are not essential in the vast majority of cases. So funds, yes, if you have a family member or someone in Canada that is supporting you and providing you with a place to live and getting you set up and helping with any of your financial needs, they request a copy of the letter from the person that you will depend on. And ultimately, this letter, we've got a sample that we have created here, and I'll pull this up, and that you can find this document. We'll just slide over here. You can find this document that we've used for a previous client in the document section of the lesson. It's just an example. And this client went, and really it was one of our staff members who did this. They went overboard. So excuse me, they really went to town explaining all the investments, all the funds they had. They provided all the confirmations. And if you go back here to the web, you can see specifically what it's asking for. And they ask for proof of the Canadian bank. If there's this doesn't apply. Bank statements for the past 4 months, a bank draft and convertible currency. You can see this is designed as much for study permits and things like that than it is for anything else. But this proof of funds, if you have someone who can provide you with a letter saying, hey, we're here to support, it doesn't hurt. But this is not going to be a mandatory document. And people realize, and I had back to this meeting that I had just a couple days ago, immigration said that they would be reasonable in the circumstances because they know that there's going to be people in many cases, whether it's family or settlement agencies or whatever it is here, charitable organizations that are sponsoring and supporting individuals who are fleeing the crisis in Ukraine and the invasion from Russia and are looking for a place, a safe haven here in Canada. And so it's not going to be a situation where they're going to get too bent up out of shape. But if you do have anything, then include it. And you can see here a letter from the person providing you with money. This is obviously, this stuff doesn't apply. A letter from the person or institution providing you with money. You can see this is kind of thrown together a little bit hastily, if you can see. So it's duplicated. Proof of funding paid from within Canada if you have a scholarship. So it's really a mixed match of things because it's not, these instructions are not specifically tied to this program, the Canada Ukraine program here. So take it with a grain of salt. If you have it, you can include it. And then you can see consent personal information. This isn't going to apply. This is only if you're releasing your information to someone else. So that doesn't apply. Employer letter also does not apply in this situation. You can ignore it. You are going to be given an open work permit, which is not tied to any specific employer. Now, we talked about previously that the job bank, there's a special link in the introduction video that provides you with a list of employers who are looking to, that have positions open. And if you're looking for a job when you come to Canada, there might be an employer on that list, but it's all about the open work permit. Then if you have family and, if you've got a spouse or someone that's coming, they do ask here as well for a marriage certificate. If you're married in Canada, well, it's the provincial or territorial one, which once again is very unlikely that's going to apply to you. And then this one, if you're married outside Canada, then it needs to be one that is produced by the government. It can't be a clergy or religious marriage certificate. But once again, all of these are optional. And then, of course, the last one is any additional documents or explanations that you think may assist the processing officer. And so in this case, for example, if we have a letter or funds, I'm just going to go into our little folder here. So we've got our proof of funds, letter of support. And once again, you can't open it or look at it. So make sure that you know 100% that the document that you uploaded is the same one that is the one that you intended. And then you can see scroll down, you can just leave it. You don't have to have anything in there. If you have a marriage certificate, you can do that. You can include it. And so, and it's really pretty simple to do it. So, and remember, any document that is not in English or French needs to be translated. So if we open up, for example, here, I'll just show you, and we have samples in here for you guys. So I'll flip this around here. So we've got a marriage certificate here. Obviously it's redacted, but anything that is not in English or French needs to be translated, which also becomes a challenge for people. So ultimately, if you have the means of doing that, then go ahead. And if not, like I said, immigration will be flexible. So the translation and the original document in color. Okay. So just a little example, and you can see in the right, in this lesson, there will be a bunch of different documents that I have been discussing in this lesson that you'll have access to as samples. And then, like I said, the additional documents here, this is where if you have extra travel history or things like that, and it's probably a good time to open up what we use for the travel history. And I'll just point this, just give me 1 second here. Okay, so let's just flip around here, and I'm going to flip to here, but I'm going to switch this over so that you can see. What we've done is we've just created a simple little Word document to help you create your own letter of explanation, and it's for the immigration online form. So this is Like I said, if we flip back here, this goes into the additional documents folder. And it's kind of like your miscellaneous, hey, this is what I want you to understand. And so basically you can see the highlighted portions, name, date of birth. If you have a UCI number, you can enter it in here. If not, just delete this whole section. You don't even need it. It's a Word document, so you can do it. You can write this and modify it however you want. I keep it super simple. So as far as activities here, this is the main heading within the, if we flip back here, let's see if we can see it. Not sure if we can. Yeah, so it deals with the main headings right here. So activities, when we're at this level here, flip back here, that's what I use as that large heading there. And then post-secondary education, we flip back here. Within the activities, there is the subheading that is post-secondary education, and you can simply just fill in the information that applies. If you're going through this and you don't have anything to explain for post-secondary education or work history, just delete it. If there's another section that you need to explain information, then just add it. And I always have the subsection, which is basically the post-secondary education. And then below it, if there's no other question, I'll just put whatever explanation I want to explain. For work history here, it has give details of all your employment and activities since the age of 18. If there's something I want to explain, then I put it in there. And like I said, if the other information that we have here just isn't, it just doesn't apply, then just delete it or add whatever you want. So this is the flexibility that you have. You can see for criminality and security, there's a bunch of different questions. So you have the one main heading, criminality and security, and then I restate each of the questions that are a part of that. And then at the end, if there are any miscellaneous documents or other things that you want to add that you haven't, then you can just enter the name and the page number that they would be in within the bundled documents that you're putting together. And remember, you're dealing with 2 megabytes. So this is just a very, very simple letter of explanation. There really isn't, let's face it, there really isn't a lot that you have to explain. It should be fairly straightforward, but you upload all the documents in there. And once you've got uploaded what you need, then you can click Save and Continue. And then you get to the consent and declaration. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time about this, but just remember, when you're using this, that immigration at times they'll want to be able to contact you for whatever reason in the future, see how you're doing, to ask questions about your experience, whatever it might be. There's no harm in just answering yes to that. And then you consent to release to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada is what it should be. Obviously, this is a little bit dated, this form. Citizenship and Immigration Canada and the CBSA, all records and information for the purposes of processing your request. And so ultimately, you declare that you've answered all the questions truthfully and fully, and you haven't left anything out. And we've talked about that, right? So make sure that you're complete with everything, and then you sign it. That's just for the principal applicant. And if it relates to a minor, then it is the parent or legal guardian for anyone under the age of 18. Okay. So you're going to put your last name in here, first name in here, and then you should be just fine with filling it out. The privacy note just basically says that they follow Canada's privacy legislation, and they do have the ability to, collect and use the information in accordance with Canadian privacy laws. They will seek the ability to collect your biometrics. And if you don't complete everything properly, it can cause delays. And remember, 14 days is kind of what they've highlighted. And within Canada's Privacy Act, you actually have the ability to request any access to any information that's been collected on your behalf by the government. Okay. Anyways, so once you've got this completed and you've got your name in here, so if we go back to Gray here, and I think we had Stephen Adam, which seems to be popping up there. And then we continue forward and save and continue. Okay, then it takes to the group. So you can see here that I've now completed the first person within my group. And when it comes to adding other members, you go through the exact same situation. And everybody that's included with your group, you want your applications to be processed together. You don't want to be all split up. So right here, you click add a member, and then that's where you add the next person within your group. You continue and you go through the process, answering all the same questions, just like we did before. Okay. And if it's an immediate family member of a Ukraine national, or I am a Ukraine national, remember that if even if it's a child, an immediate family member is defined as spouse, dependent child, or dependent child of a dependent child. Okay, so you can see on this in terms of family member, technically speaking, a parent or a grandparent, as the case may be, doesn't meet the definition of a family member for these purposes. But here's a little pro tip. If you do include, say, your mother or father, if you're coming as an adult, and the grandparents as well as the kids, you can put everybody through as a group and just fill them out, even though you don't consider them to be an immediate family member within this definition. You can still include everybody together, and it gets a little bit wonky, but they figure it out. And it's not designed to include everybody, but why in the world would you want to be separated from, say, your elderly mother or father who's coming with you? And so this is a little hack that I want you to understand. What you do is you just include that, yes, you've got that they're included in the family group, and then I'm a Ukrainian national who holds a valid Ukraine passport is usually the case. If your family member, which is one of these, is not a Ukrainian citizen, that's fine. Then you're going to indicate I am an immediate family member of a Ukraine national. But if they're all from the Ukraine, just like you, citizens of Ukraine, then everybody's going to highlight that part. Do you want to work while you're in Canada? We talked about that. If it's obviously if it's a minor child, then they're probably not going to be working. But for everybody that's work age eligible, you're going to put yes there. Okay. And then you agree, and then the UCI, and we've been down this path, right? So answering all the questions, you can see it jumps all the way to here. And this is the information that they're going to be asking. And we've already went through this, and it's all the same for that additional family member. So we'll just go back here and see if they'll let us jump back. It's saying, what's going on? What are you doing to me? So we'll just remove this one right here, delete. But all your family, you can add them into this group. And then once you've got them, I confirm I've completed the applications in this group. Then it opens this up. Then you can save and continue. And then you'll see here, before you pay and submit. So now we'll stop this one, and then we'll get to the finalization parts.